right. So today, um, I'll be talking about comic books that came out on January 8th, 2020. So the second week of the year here. As you can see, I got a little stand for the comics, so I don't have to hold them. I think that's a pretty good angle. Let me separate my comics between publishers, and then we can go ahead and get started. There's a lot of Marvel this week. I think as I mentioned last week, you'll be seeing a lot of Marvel stuff because first of all, it's very good. Second of all, they give me that free digital code, or I mean, it's not free. I'm obviously paying for it, but I like it. I like to read my comics digitally. I like to buy them physically, but at this point, collection is getting too big. Um, so we're just gonna, cut back on some of the physical stuff unless I can get the digital code. I'll still buy independent stuff. I think it's important to support the smaller publishers, and it's always kind of fun to discover books that way. Even if I don't or initially read everything at once. Normally, for an independent comic, I like to buy the first one, read it. If it catches my attention, I'll buy the rest. Especially because there's a lot of 5 or 6 issue miniseries. So by then I'll know. With the first one, it's a pretty good indicator if I'm gonna be interested in the series, and I think that's what a good number one really does. So speaking of that, here, I'll switch it out. Uh, should put my phone on silent as well. Okay. So we'll start with the independent comics. First up, we have Clock from Image Comics, and what I should have done is pull up my. Let's see if I can do this. Well, I wanted to leave the comic up there, but oh well. So this is Clock from the Clock issue number 1 from Image Comics. I'll put it back up in a second. This is written by it's from Image Comics, but it's also from Top Cow Productions, which is kind of like a subsidiary of Image Comics. It's written by Matt Hawkins and was created by Matt Hawkins and Colleen Doran. Um, I don't know that I've read many books from Matt Hawkins. I do follow Colleen on Twitter, and I think her art is very good. So Matt is the writer, Colleen's the artist. Brian Valencia on colors, Troy Peteri on letters. Um, this book, it's an apocalyptic type of book. Um, the the main premise of the book is that there is a cancer-like or a virus-like cancer, and there's people getting together to find out why it's happening, what's going on, how they can fix it. It's a mini series. I believe it's only 4 issues. So for 4 issues, I'll definitely stick around by it. The first issue caught me enough that uh, the cover is really cool. But the first issue gave me enough of a story where I'm actually interested. Um, and like I said before, Colleen's art it really grabbed me. There's a few pages here where let me find something without like a spoiler or something. Maybe one of the first few pages here. I know there was a big splash that I really enjoyed. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can set that up. I don't know. I won't stay because it's like at the beginning of the book, but it's just like kind of like a refugee camp type of shot. and the protagonist, he's in charge of finding a cure. Uh, and that's kind of how things get started. They are looking at people that are not affected by this virus, like trying to figure out what are the commonalities that these people have, maybe to develop an immunity or something like that. Um, but yeah, the rest of the first issue, it didn't look very good as far as like, oh yeah, we're gonna solve this. So I'm interested. I think I'll buy it in singles and wait till it's all over. Just read it all at once. We'll see. Next up, this is Ronin Island. Here, actually, let me give you the description and the artist and the creators and all that before. This is written by Greg Pak. If you watch a few of these videos, you know Greg Pak. Like, I love his comic books. Really looking forward to his Darth Vader #1 coming out soon. This is illustrated by Giannis Milonogiannis. Oh, I hope I said that close enough. Colored by Irma Nivila. Letters by Simon Bolan. Yep. So this is from Boom Studios. Um, I haven't started reading this one, but this is on issue 9. With Greg Pak, I'm pretty sure, like, he's one of my favorite writers, so I'll buy pretty much anything that he's putting out, just without knowing anything about the book. And then I'll just read it, like I'll just binge it whenever, like Met Cadet U, which was another one of his series, Kingway West from Dark Horse. Like, he has a lot of stories kind of like this, on top of all the stuff he's doing with Marvel, all the stuff he did with DC. So like, I'm pretty sure I'll enjoy it. The art looks fantastic, like from the covers, because it's the same artist. I normally get the #1, the regular cover. So that's Ronin Island. Next up, it's gonna be issue 2 of the Power Rangers versus Ninja Turtles crossover. I don't know if it's versus. I guess it's just Power Rangers Ninja Turtles. This is written by Ryan Parrott. Illustrated by Simone DiMatteo with assistance by Alessio Sono. Colors by Walter Viamonte with assistance by Igor Monti, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. This is a regular cover by Dan Mora. Dan Mora is one of my favorite cover artists, and also just I really enjoy his style. It's very stylistic. He did a lot of the WWE comics. He's currently doing ones in feature with Kieran Gillen. This is a collaboration from Boom Studios and IDW. I have no idea what it's about, but it's Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles. Like I said before, when we talked, I think I talked about the #1. I read Power Rangers Justice League. I'm looking forward to reading Justice League Black Hammer. I love crossovers like this. So yeah, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna read it. There's a lot of really cool covers in the back. They kind of look like this. They're not this one, but the Power Rangers, they do a lot of like chrome covers with the helmets. But in this case, they're being grabbed by a turtle. All right, next up is Gotham City Monsters. This is chapter 5. I think this is a really underrated book from DC Comics. If you like both the supernatural beings of DC and also the underbelly of Gotham City and some of the lower tier Batman villains, and I don't mean that as a slight. It's just they're not featured as prominently all the time. So it's by Steve Orlando. He's writing that. Amanke Nahuelpan on art. Trish Movell, she's a colorist, but she's also an artist. I think I follow her on Twitter, and I really like her stuff. Tom Napolitano on letters, and the cover by Howard Porter. So this is also kind of one of those books that it's just like a bunch of characters going against another bunch of characters. You see here some Justice dark type of characters, Frankenstein, some of the more supernatural beings going up against these, Killer Croc, who's that? Orca, just some of those villains that you don't see very prominently featured on the Batman books. So this is also a miniseries. It's only 6 issues. This is number 5, so it should be done in next month. And I look forward to finishing off, seeing what it's like. Now, next up, I'm gonna try something here. See if it works. Should have tried this before going on live, but does that look good? Does that work? That kind of works. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll leave Ivy over there for a second while I look at the credits here. Oh, DC Comics. Sometimes I don't know where you put your credits, and it's really tough. I mean, I could look at all this stuff beforehand, but this is a lot more fun. Monday, I'm just gonna read the book and sit here quietly while you guys just watch. Let's see. I know Jody Houser is the writer because I love Jody Houser's work and I enjoy her books. I just talked about. I don't know if I talked about Web of Black Widow last week, but I finished that series and it was very good. I might have just tweeted about it. So if you want to know what I'm reading, here we go. So it's written by. So this is Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy number 5. This is also a miniseries. Written by Jody Houser with pencils by Adriana Mello, inks by Mark Morales, colors by Hi-Fi, letters by Gabriella Downey. The variant cover. This is the Josh Middleton cover, and it's a connecting cover of both Harley and Ivy. Let's see if that'll stay. It won't stay. It's okay. I'll hold it for a second. So really funny. Quick story. When issue number 1 came out of this, they had a connecting variant covers from Artgerm. And if you know, if you collect variants, and you'll recognize an Artgerm piece immediately. Whenever you put them together, they didn't completely match. Like, you had to kind of put them closer, whereas they would kind of stack on top of each other. So I was joking with the owner of the shop. Like, I guess DC finally figured out how to do the connecting cover where, like, you can actually see both of the books. But yeah, I don't normally pick up connecting variants, but I thought this one was pretty cool. I'm enjoying. I'm a little biased because I'm really enjoying the Harley Quinn show on the DC app. I think it's really funny, and I really enjoy the relationship that Harley and Ivy have there. So this book I'm all in. It's got Harley and Ivy and Jody Houser's writing it, and it's got fantastic art. So I can't wait. I've only read the first one, so I'll also finish this whenever the series is out. We don't need this anymore. That was the only connecting variant I have. Next up, we'll do the one Star Wars book. We'll do the one Star Wars book. We're doing Marvel next, and I'll leave all of the X-Men books till the end. Yeah, that works. All right. So next up is Rise of Kylo Ren, number 2. This is written by Charles Soule, with art by Will Sliney, Guru effects on colors, and letters by Travis Lanham. This is a cover by Clayton Crane. I've mentioned Clayton Crane before. As you know, he's one of my favorite cover artists as well. So if you want to know, if you watch The Rise of Skywalker, which, quick plug, I do a podcast with some of my friends called What the Real Podcast. We just dropped our episode where we talk about Rise of Skywalker. It's about 2 hours of like just Star Wars love and nonsense and some complaints, but overall, like, it's all just us kind of gushing about the series overall, and just like you can kind of tell that we really enjoy Star Wars overall. So yeah, go check that out. Links on my Twitter at Echo Spider or at What the Real Pod. But back to the comic. If you want to know how Kylo Ren or how Ben Skywalker became Kylo Ren, go read this book. If you want to see more of the Knights of Ren, go read this book. Next up is Savage Avengers number 9. This is being written by Jerry Duggan with art by Pat Searcher. Both are amazing people on Twitter, so I have really give them a follow. Colors by Java Tartaglia and letters by Travis Lanham. And the cover is by Valerio Giangiordano and Romulo Fajardo Jr. So very cool cover. This book is very weird because it's an interesting lineup of people, but it's also like I'm behind. This looks to be more magic related because Stephen Strange is there, and I know Doom's involved based on the last cover. So I haven't finished reading it. But the cool thing is that Conan the Barbarian's in this book, and this is the only Conan book I'm reading. I haven't read much Conan, and I think I will because I do enjoy Jason Aaron's writing. And now that he's not writing Thor anymore, I'm gonna miss that type of stuff. Next up is Star Number 1. This is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Javier Pina and Felipe Andrade. Colors by Jesus Albertov and Clayton Cowles on letters. So Star, that's interesting. There's some stuff about the Infinity Stones. So I only picked this up. I have an internet friend. He goes by Supermac. He recommended it. I saw that it was a Kelly Thompson book. I'm behind on her Captain Marvel book, but I'm behind on her Captain Marvel book. But apparently this is a character that spun out of that. So yeah, I'm gonna check it out. It's a number 1. It looks cool. So I'll check it out. I'm gonna pause for a second and we'll be right back. Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that. Had to take a call. But yeah, as I said, Star Number 1. I'm gonna check it out. I know nothing about this book other than Kelly Thompson wrote it, and I'm enjoying her Captain Marvel stuff. I love the stuff she did with Rogue. All right, next up, Morbius, the Living Vampire, and I won't talk about this much because I want you all to kind of go in there. But this is written by Vita Ayala. Marcelo Ferreira is on pencils, Roberto Poggi on inks, Dono Sanchez Almara on colors, and Clayton Cowell on letters. And this cover is by Scan. I don't know much about Scan. What I do know is that Vita Ayala writes a hell of a book. Issue number 1 was crazy. The book really turned Morbius into a kind of horror book. So that's really what you're getting out of this. I believe this issue features Spider-Man finally. So we'll see. I'm behind on this book, but I'm picking it up. It's a miniseries, I believe. So I'll stick around. Like I said, Vita Ayala is a great writer. So I really enjoy their work. So I'm gonna keep buying this. Next up is Deadpool number 2. This is another Kelly Thompson book. Of course, the credits are in the back, and I haven't read it. And I may be spoiled. We'll see. We will see. Oh, credits are not in the back, and they're not in the front. Oh, Marvel. Where'd you put your credits? I may have to edit this video more than I want to. We'll see. So if you don't know, I guess if you're watching here live, you probably don't want to watch this again. But if for some reason you did want to watch it again, I put these streams up afterwards, after Oh my God, where's the credits on this? Okay, well, sorry for I'm not gonna get the full credits, but this is written by Kelly Thompson and with art by Chris Bacalo. Um, yeah, just issue one set it up. Deadpool became the king of something, and you need to find out what it is. And then there's a monster hunter that maybe he's trying to help Deadpool out, maybe not. So the art is fantastic. The story's been really fun so far. So if you find the credits, let me know what page it was on. Because here we go. I was on the first page and I completely missed it. The writer's Kelly Thompson, pencils by Chris Bacalo. There's a lot of anchors on this book. Wayne Faucher, Livesay, Alvey, Jaime Mendoza, Victor Osalva, and Tim Townsend. David Curiel on colors, and the covers by Chris Bacalo and Tim Townsend. This is going to be an interesting read now that I know there's so many inkers, because inkers really add, they really make a difference on the art. So it'll be fun to see if I can kind of tell who inked what. Or not who inked what, but at least when the inkers kind of change. Next up, Venom number 22. This is the part 2 of Venom Island by writer Donny Cates, Mark Bagley on pencils, Andy Owens on inks, Frank Martin and Eric Arciniga on colors, and letters by Clayton Cowell. If you haven't been reading the Venom book, stop what you're doing, stop watching this, get out of here, and then just go pick up Venom, because it's a really good book. All the stuff with Absolute Carnage was fantastic. This is the follow-up to that. Mark Bagley's back on pencils. I mean, him and Carnage are like, oh, just go pick it up. Very enjoyable. I haven't read this issue, but it's an island full of symbiotes. What do you want? Like, how can you not enjoy this? Next up, we have Fallen Angels number 5. This one, I do know where all the credits are because the layout is the same for all the X books. This is written by Brian Hill with art by Simon Kudransky, Frank Darmada on colors, Joe Savino on letters. And this beautiful cover by Ashley Witter. I really enjoy Ashley's covers. I think she has a very distinct style. I was lucky enough at the pretty recently at a convention in Dallas. I was able to get a cover a commission drawn on the cover from her. This book, this follows Psylocke and Cable, young Cable, and Laura X-23, and then there's other mutants that are in the periphery, but it's really about them three and kind of Psylocke having to lead a team without it being like acknowledged by the mutant in Krakoa and the nation of Krakoa. So this book is a little violent more than the other ones. This story is a little dark. Even the art is a little more dark than some of the other books, especially if you read like stuff like New Mutants and stuff, where it's really bright and vibrant and stuff. This is kind of the complete opposite to that. Psylocke is now back to Conan. I think it's her original name. So it's not Betsy Braddock in Conan's body anymore. This is. Although I will say, if I had to rank the X books, this one is probably at the bottom of the list. But it's not because it's bad. It's just because every book is really good, and it changes from week to week. Like as I read these books, I'm like, oh, this series is better, and this series is better. Except Marauders, that always stays at the top. Top notch Marauder stuff. Next up is X-Force number 5. This is another one of the X-Men books that we got this week. The X-Force follows Forge, Sage, Beast, Domino, Gateway, who I believe is from Australia, Wolverine, and then features Marvel Girl this week. I have read this. I have also read Fallen Angels, and I finally got to the part where I get the name of the book. So that was very exciting. This is written. X-Force is written by Benjamin Percy, with art by Joshua Cassara, Dean White and Rachelle Rosenberg on colors, and Joe Carmanja on letters. Now, I will say this book does have a parental advisory warning. whereas some of the other ones don't. And if you've been reading comic books for a while, you know that X Force is kind of like usually a violent comic, and this one definitely lives up to that. So the cover, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's Forge with some Krakoa style like weapons that he's been designing while he's in his lab. So this one, like I said, this issue is very good. It has some really cool moments. I took some screenshots when I was reading this on my iPad, and I'll tweet those out later. Out of context, not a big spoiler, but I just think it's a really nice moment between Wolverine and Domino. So next up is Excalibur #5. This is written by Tini Howard with art by Marcus Toe, Eric Arcienega on colors, and Corey Petit on letters. This book follows a group of the Excalibur group is made up of Gambit, Rogue. They recruited Richter, so small spoiler there. Apocalypse, Jubilee, and Captain Britain. I won't say who the other person they recruited is because that's another spoiler, but I feel like that one's a little bit of a bigger spoiler for, especially for longtime Excalibur fans. You may recognize this person. This is a pretty big issue because from the beginning, one of the characters unfortunately was kind of placed on the sidelines due to something that happened, and this is the issue where you go like, okay, here we go. This is the real story's kind of kicking in. Normally, a lot of these books get written for the trade, which contains usually about 6 comic books. So this is pretty close to the end of the arc. So I'm looking forward to see how Tini and the team kind of just wrap that up. And next up, and my final book, and probably my favorite book I've read, definitely today, because I read all the X-Men books today, but probably this week at least. We see this is New Mutants #5. Jonathan Hickman writes this book, but also Ed Brisson. So if you've seen some of the other videos, this is the book that follows 2 different teams. One team is made up of the original New Mutants with some people kind of sprinkled in there. The other team follows some of the kids from I think it was Generation X. Definitely from the previous iteration of Generation X, but I think also from a lot of the people that Grant Morrison kind of brought in to the X-Men books. Like I said, art by Rod Reis, and Rod Reis can do no wrong. His art is amazing. Travis Lanham on letters, and beautiful, beautiful cover by Rod Reis. We're back to the New Mutant story, which they're out in space with space shenanigans. This book is a lot of fun. The art is amazing. This book kind of highlights why I love reading the character of Magic so much, because she's a lot of fun. And the way Jonathan Hickman writes her, like, it's just very, very interesting. So this is the last book of that I picked up this week. So I want to know, what are you guys picking up? What are you reading? Did you pick up any of these books? And if so, did you like them? So before I sign off, make sure to follow us at Next Issue Podcast. Next Issue Pod on Twitter. We also have a Facebook, facebook.com/Next Issue Podcast. You can follow me directly at Echo Spider on Twitter, and on Instagram. Usually I'll update what I'm reading and what I'm doing and stuff. I like to reach out to creators and just kind of ask them questions and then post some cool screenshots of stuff. So if you have any questions or anything we're reading, we're coming back. We are recording this week. We're recording our new episode for 2020. So we're back. My co-hosts Clay and Josh and Adrian and Kyle. We'll be discussing like a bunch of stuff because there's been a lot going on in comics, both not just in the books but in the comic book area. So yeah, thanks to everybody that joined. Go catch this at youtube.com. Just search for next episode of Next Issue Podcast. I don't think we have a URL yet. But yeah, thanks for joining. Keep reading comics, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.